Welcome to the Deep Dive Books channel, where we hope you find something valuable every day.
Today, we continue exploring Fluke by Brian Klaas. This is the third part of our interpretation. In the last part, we discussed how realizing that many things happen randomly can free our minds from pressure. Today, we'll explore a more severe concept. That relentless optimization can bring systemic risk. Our topic is complex systems. If you've heard terms like chaos, self-organization, emergence, the butterfly effect, black swans, or attractors, today we'll look at another concept: system instability. Society often values order and dislikes chaos, striving for control and predictability. But we'll see that high levels of order can actually make systems less stable. Here's an example. Throughout Chinese history, a locust plague occurred roughly every 3 years, posing a huge threat to agricultural societies. During droughts, locust swarms would appear, darkening the skies and consuming everything in sight. I learned from reading Klaas's book that the largest recorded locust plague in human history occurred in the United States in 1875. At that time, a swarm of 3.5 trillion locusts formed a mass the size of California, sweeping across the country. It's said that people on the scene could hear the countless locusts munching away, sounding like thousands of scissors cutting relentlessly. The locusts didn't just eat crops. They stripped tree bark, sheep wool, clothing. Even chewed through buildings. This plague destroyed 3/4 of U.S. agricultural products. At that time, people didn't understand locusts, especially why predicting their path was so hard. It was only recently that researchers uncovered the mystery. Locust behavior depends entirely on their density. With fewer than 17 locusts per square meter, they act independently, each going its own way, unable to travel far. At 24 to 61 locusts per square meter, they form small groups that move together, but without coordination among groups. When density exceeds 73.7 locusts per square meter, a precise number, all locusts join into a single unified swarm, moving in perfect sync. In this formation, stragglers are eaten by others, so the group becomes highly ordered, moving as one, capable of traveling far. This is the most dangerous scenario. Each locust's behavior becomes predictable. Yet, paradoxically, the swarm's path remains unpredictable. This phenomenon is called the paradox of the swarm and is common in large groups. For example, starling murmurations show similar synchronized movement, where a few birds changing direction can shift the entire flock. No individual is leading, but each is influencing the group. This is the nature of complex systems. In a complex system, different parts are interdependent. Each part has some influence. You affect others, and they, in turn, affect you, creating feedback loops. So, the whole is more than the sum of its parts. Complex systems often end up in certain stable states, or attractors. Consider a highway with many cars. It's a complex system, but generally, it has only 2 stable states. Suppose the speed limit is 100 km per hour. Under normal conditions, cars hover around this speed. A stable state, or attractor. If traffic jams, that's another stable state, with all cars moving slowly. That's it. You won't see some cars going 150 km per hour while others go 70 km per hour on a 100 km per hour highway. They fall into one of these 2 attractors. Going further, there's the concept of a basin of attraction, which refers to the set of all conditions that will eventually lead to an attractor. Imagine you're driving a new sports car on that 100 km per hour highway and reach 150 km per hour. What happens? You'll likely slow back to 100 km per hour, due to traffic or police limits. So, 150 km per hour falls within the basin of the 100 km per hour attractor. This diagram shows basins of attraction. Picture all possible states of a complex system as a landscape with peaks and valleys. In the diagram, the 2 valleys represent attractors. The left pink area is the basin of attraction for the left valley, meaning anything within it will ultimately roll down into the valley. Similarly, the right green area is the basin for the right valley. Understanding these basins helps us comprehend the system as a whole. For example, U.S. politics may seem complex, but it generally falls into two basins: Democrat and Republican. If you lean toward government intervention, you're likely in the Democrat basin. If you lean toward individual autonomy, you're probably in the Republican basin. Attractors and basins of attraction ensure that complex systems often remain stable. But not always. Stability here is a mathematical concept, meaning the system state won't easily change under minor disruptions, like a ball that returns to its valley after a small nudge. In this diagram, the two solid blue balls represent stable basins. Imagine the left valley represents peace and the right valley represents war. Both states are stable. It's hard to provoke war during peace, and peace is difficult to achieve in wartime. Between these valleys is a small peak, marked by the dashed ball, representing an unstable state. It can tip either way without returning. This is the tipping point. Europe was at such a tipping point before World War I. Alliances between France, Russia, Germany, and Austria-Hungary built tension. The world was like a ball balanced on a mountain, easily pushed in either direction. In June 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassination tipped the ball toward war. A tipping point is a necessary condition for conflict, but so is the random event that triggers it. Without it, the ball might have gradually rolled left toward peace. Consider the Cuban Missile Crisis. A single reckless act could have led to World War III. Luckily, or by a fluke, the situation tipped toward peace. So, we have two key concepts: basins of attraction and tipping points. When you recognize a system is near a tipping point, be extremely cautious. Sometimes, a stable system is pushed from one basin across a tipping point into another. Picture it like this. For instance, take an ecosystem. In a healthy ecosystem, pests like mice or locusts are balanced and don't cause major issues. But, if someone disrupts that balance, like eliminating sparrows that eat locusts, you risk a locust outbreak. Sparrows were once considered pests. But without them, locusts thrive, breaking the balance and potentially leading to ecological disaster. More often, systems have steep basins, as if on a cliff edge, making it easy to cross tipping points. Our modern world is like this. Forgive Klaas for comparing human society to locusts. 50,000 years ago, in hunter-gatherer societies, low population density meant isolated groups. No complex system. In the agricultural age, society integrated somewhat, like moderately dense locusts. Local disruptions were common, but overall, the system was stable. Problems in one region had limited impact on the whole, and even allowed for relief efforts. In modern society, individual lives are extremely stable. We go to work, return home, and live organized lives, with even grocery shopping involving orderly queues. This stability can make us believe society is highly controllable. Governments set growth targets, and companies predict quarterly earnings with big data to aid forecasting. Yet, this local stability paradoxically increases global instability. This is due to a phenomenon called self-organized criticality. In self-organized criticality, a system gradually reaches a tipping point as incremental changes accumulate. At this point, even a slight change can trigger a major shift. One classic example is adding sand to a pile on a table. Initially, the pile is stable. As it grows, it becomes steeper. Eventually, a single grain will cause an avalanche, shifting large amounts of sand, not just a few grains. Think of all the times we see this in human society. Klaas cites the Protestant Reformation. Corruption in the medieval Catholic Church had long frustrated people, building up discontent like an increasing sand pile. Finally, in 1517, Martin Luther's challenge triggered a religious split. The church could blame Luther, but the underlying issue was the self-organization of discontent. Or consider the 2008 financial crisis. Initially, it involved a few people buying homes they couldn't afford. As long as prices rose, the sandpile grew. Klaas identifies 3 factors behind increasing global instability. 1 is efficiency. We push leverage to its limit. For instance, buying 2 properties instead of 1 with the same cash, aiming for profit but adding sand to the pile. The second is connection. Localized market issues can impact the entire economy if intertwined with others, like when one real estate firm borrows nationwide. The third is speed. Faster information exchange raises instability. When a sandpile isn't high, adding a grain is harmless. But if we understand these principles, we see that slowing down, allowing local disorder, and even small collapses can increase overall resilience. This is today's topic. In the next part, we'll discuss what humans can do in the world.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.